Point, and I'm Eric Mitchell. Got a great Monday for you. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Week 2 is almost in the books. We got a Monday Night Football game tonight, so hopefully you're excited. Crazy weekend. We went into Friday. I mean, I feel like we taped the show and went into Friday, and TikTok and just everything going nuts in the world. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2020. When you thought it could stop, it doesn't. The wheels just keep going. Great news out of here I'm going to share. I know some of you reach out to us and ask. My family and everyone that I know here in Oregon is doing better. We got some rain over the weekend, and we're so happy because the smoke is starting to go away, and it just makes us so happy to be able to go outside and breathe again. You know, it's bad enough in COVID that you can't really go anywhere and be comfortable, and add in smoke where you couldn't leave your house. Oh my goodness, let me tell you. So we have a great show for you today. Let's talk about our guest today. Our first guest is going to talk about one form of mindset, which is like the personal mindset. And our second goal is going to talk about empowering women and setting their mindset to continue to be successful, getting yourself out of the doldrums of, being able to put yourself down and all the things that go through holding you back from being successful. 98% of what holds us up from being successful is all here. Like I always tell, let's talk about this before we go. We have some time before we bring on our guest. But as we discuss mindset, my advice to everybody is you don't give any thought or space to anybody in here if they're not paying to be there. So those outside pushes we see, and we see them, and the good thing and bad thing about being in a world that is digitally connected to everybody. The digital handshake is something that we've all heard about and now have experienced firsthand in 2020. Now, this little device can either be a blessing or a curse. Depends on what platform you're on and what you're using it for. You can go on and see everything like we talked about Friday. There's actually shows on networks that talk about cults and things that are just blasphemous and not true. There's other people who are anti-Semites and come on and claim that, the Holocaust is a hoax and we should just be hateful people. There's groups that use words like Marxist and socialist, but yet have never opened up a dictionary and actually see that they're calling people the wrong names. We live in a world where election 2020 has basically divided our country, where it's like Civil War standards, where people are standing on one side of the line, and we're forgetting the main part of the news, why we get to vote. Interesting fact, did you know last week in the state of Alaska, which votes and has the largest number of independent voters in our country, do you know that there was a court hearing where they actually were going to delay the ballots going out because they wanted to remove what parties people were belonging to except the Republican and Democratic Party? So if you're an independent, you would just be a certified candidate. But what about the Republicans and the Democrats? They don't have it. That leads to a whole different topic, but that all sets with the mindset. Mindset. And we see it as we go into a new week, the first day of fall being today. Awesome. Folks, just so you know, November 1st is right around the corner. That's where we change our clocks, if you live in a state that changes its clocks. But it is important to realize that your mindset is everything, whether it be personal, spiritual, or business related. All of those go together, and you have to set yourself right. So one of our missions here at To The Point is to make sure we put folks up, tie in today's factors and how you can overcome them and become a better entrepreneur, a better human, and maybe a better parent, a better spouse, a better loved one. Because your mindset sets everything. If you're a miserable person, you're miserable to everybody around. And nobody wants a Karen around, right? Nobody. Even people named Karen don't want to be called Karen this year. They're like, no. Or Carol. Nobody wants to be called Carol Baskin, right? Because that's just like bad. So got a great show for you. We're going to head into the break here, but we have the wonderful Kristel Bauer joining us today, and we're going to jump into how she transitioned her career to where she's now an amazing coach helping people set their personal mindset right. So we come back from the break. We'll welcome today's first guest, the wonderful Kristel Bauer. Welcome back. I'm Eric Mitchell, and this is To The Point. We've got a great, awesome, terrific, wonderful guest for us today. We're going to jump in, and like I said at the beginning, we're going to be talking about your mindset and overcoming fear. A lot of that goes on, especially in 2020. I feel that this is a great topic for us to talk about because there's fear in your business and fear in your personal life as you don't know what's going on, and election 2020 doesn't make it any easier, folks. So let's welcome to the show today's first guest, the wonderful Kristin Bauer. Welcome back and welcome to the show. Kristin, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm in smoky Oregon. We're thankful that the smoke is leaving us. The fires are getting contained. I just hope, before we actually get started, I just want to say thank you to all the amazing first responders on the West Coast. They had an amazing job saving a lot. I mean, unfortunately, we did lose lives on the West Coast, but the fact that we're under 100 people have lost their lives, lots of property lost, but a lot of lives saved, amazing stories. Just these first responders, I mean, they haven't spent a lot of time with their family, and I think it's kind of a cool subject switch here, talking about spending time with family. Now, your big focus is talking about health and mindset, overcoming fear. And one of the things I liked about it is talking about how to attain success without sacrificing well-being. And it's a topic close to my heart because I see so many people on social media who love certain influencers, and they're good people. I'm not bashing on them because certain folks, they have this amazing work ethic because they're multimillionaires and they can hop on their private planes and fly everywhere. And everybody wants that life. They all want I want my own private plane. Little do they know it costs almost $1 million to keep that thing and fuel it whenever you want to do it. It's not free. It costs about $25,000 to fly one way to anywhere. So just so people understand, don't think that you're baller on a budget. Nope, trust me, that's $25,000 you don't get back. This belief that people need to work all the time and post about it, like, hey, I'm working on a Saturday. Like, okay, why do you need to tell me? And two, why do you think people are so addicted to working and not paying attention to their family? I mean, you don't get this time back with your kids. You don't. They continue to get older, and you're going to end up when the clock runs out and they're 18 and walking out the door, heading off to college or wherever they're going, and all that time's gone where, you worked on a Saturday. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, this is a really good point. And I've seen so many people struggle with this, personally, professionally. And I worked in integrative psychiatry for quite a while, and I saw people who were extremely successful financially, but they were falling apart, in other areas of their lives, physically, emotionally, mentally. And I really feel like there's this attachment to achievement. Like you get your fulfillment in certain cases when you reach that goal, or when you get that win, or that money comes in, or whatever it is. And a lot of people have lost that connection to what really brings fulfillment, and that comes on it's an inside job. It doesn't come from the external world. It's connection. It's doing things that really nourish you. It's taking care of yourself. And I think getting caught up in that like hustle culture, like you've got to hustle, you've got to keep working hard, you've got to be an overachiever. I think that starts at a young age. And I think in schools even, and I see college students who are staying up crazy late to cram for exams. And okay, if I do this, then I can get, the job that I want, or I can get to that next stage. And then it's always like the next stage, the next thing, and that validation of your worth then starts to come from those external achievements. So I think a lot of it comes down to the awareness of, okay, the satisfaction that I'll get from reaching that goal, it's only going to last like a moment, and then there's going to be a new goal. Like it doesn't end. It's always there. You're always going to have something else to work towards. So it's really about enjoying the journey and slowing down enough to really discover what makes you happy and to build those connections and to really nourish yourself.
Perfect. And that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people don't realize, how important, we all get the side hustle, and we've had to do it never before in 2020 screaming side hustle. But it just seems to me you're right when it comes to how folks need to also focus on their family. It's so easy to get caught up in your work. And we know this, both of us as entrepreneurs and running your own business. It's easy to get caught up sitting at your desk on a Saturday or a Sunday. I mean, I'm a Sunday planner. I do have an hour I do set aside every Sunday. I've done it since I started, even in business, just even in corporate America, I used to do it, where you kind of set your day. I always like being ahead of the schedule on a Monday than behind. And secret, and I'm probably going to cough this up, anybody listening who works with me is going to be like, how does he do it? My secret is I schedule my Monday emails on Sunday. Like, I write them all out and schedule them to all drop, because I don't like emailing people on Sundays. It's gross. It's like, but if I sit there for an hour, football season makes it easy, put my laptop in, fantasy's going, and send out some emails and schedule them to go out, and they drop in the morning, 8 a.m. Everybody gets an email from me on Monday morning, and then my emails are done, and I like that because then I can schedule out the rest of my week and not worry about it. But, it's interesting, the side hustle, the just working hard and, stressing about the little things and needing to tell me on social media that you're working hard. So let me ask you this one, and this one's come up, and it's just an interesting topic, and I'd love your thoughts. I've recently seen this thing, they call them third watch entrepreneurs. These are basically people who are working in corporate America, who start jobs, careers, new opportunities, at their corporate job or whatever job they may be. I'm not a fan of that, because I think if you're that person, you're doing it wrong. Number one, Mark Cuban famously calls those people wannapreneurs, but you're stealing from your current employer who's providing you, and there's no risk if you think about it. There's zero risk for anyone, and it's not a healthy mindset. I mean, to me, you're already setting yourself up for failure if you're so willing to be kind of, I'll use the word shady, to build your business while you're on somebody else's dime. That's theft. I mean, morally, you can't be like, I built this legitimately. No, you didn't. You took no risk. You were getting paid every 2 weeks. You have health care, no risk. If your job fails, if your business has a bad month, you're fine, because your corporate job just keeps you safe. What's your thoughts on people who are doing this and keeping their mindset positive while trying to launch a business as an entrepreneur? Because, I mean, part of success is setting yourself up for success, not setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, that's very true. I really am a believer that mindset is everything. And for me, a lot of it came down to, what am I passionate about? What are my core values? Really getting clear on my why. And that's actually why I decided to launch my business. I left clinical practice because I wanted to try and share my message on a wider scale. But I don't feel like right now, honestly, I don't feel like I'm working. Like, I feel like I'm following my passion, and that makes it more digestible when things don't go the way that I want them to go. Because there are going to be setbacks, and there are going to be losses, and things don't always work out the way that, we dream that they will. And especially if you're, starting a new business and you're trying to grow, there are going to be rejections, and those things are going to happen. So really, for me, it's about coming back to my why. Why am I doing this? What am I passionate about? And I'm constantly checking in with myself. Like, okay, does this feel right? Did I get a little bit lost here? And when I first started, I was still on my phone too much. That's still something that I'm working on. Like, because I'm still doing my own social media. So it's this constant check-in of, okay, am I getting a little bit veered off course? Do I need to recenter? Do I need to reassess where I'm at? Where's my head at? And I think that's a continual process for anyone that has their own business, is really making sure you're doing things that are in alignment with your purpose, with your values. And some people, I don't think that they're really clear on that. Like, they might not even know what their core values are.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let's kind of jump on to some other things. Now, you talk about something called integrative medicine. And before we go to break, got like 2 minutes here. Tell us a little bit about that. And we come back, when we come back from break, I want to jump in and talk about your podcast, My Live Greatly Podcast. Did I say that right, or did I butcher that? I knew I was close.
It's okay.
Just watch me murder words. That's what I do. But tell us a little bit, before we go to break, what is integrative medicine? I like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I am an integrative medicine fellow. So I don't know if people have heard of Dr. Andrew Weil, but he's pretty visible in that integrative medicine world. And he has a fellowship through the University of Arizona. And I've been really passionate about more like holistic health, of looking more to all the different things that contribute to your well-being. So I was practicing in more kind of Western medicine for quite a while. And I felt like a lot of it was you're treating symptoms. Like, people come in and it's like, okay, here's your prescription, here's how we're going to treat this problem. But integrative medicine is looking more at the whole picture. How do your relationships impact, the way you're feeling or your symptoms? How about your nutrition and your sleep patterns? And it also looks at things like acupuncture. It incorporates everything that goes into a person's well-being. So I just felt like it was a really great way to really have more tools to help people.
Awesome. I love that. So when we come back from the break, if you don't mind sticking around to come back from the break, we'd like to just, before you go, come back from the break and talk about your podcast. Tell us all about it. And real quick, we'll talk about your 8-week online course that you just launched or released. So we want to talk about that. We come back. And we're back. And I just want to say, apparently, I don't know how to read as the host of the show. So our guest name is Kristel Bauer, not Kristin, like you've heard me say earlier. And you probably are reading lower thirds and going, why is the host calling the guest by the wrong name? You're welcome. That's called, I fell on my head a lot when I was in the Marine Corps in sports. That's what we'll blame. But so let's, just wanted to cover that real fast, that if you're reading the lower thirds and you're confused, that's what we're doing. So we've been talking with our guest, Kristel. Sorry, Kristel, I apologize. Kristel here, we've been talking about, mindset, and you have an amazing podcast. So tell the folks about your podcast. Obviously, before we go, I don't need to tell people, you're on probably every podcast platform that exists, Spotify, Apple, all. Those are the two big ones that I tell people to go to, because Spotify is absolutely killing it. It's actually my favorite because you don't have to download anything, so it saves room on your phone. So just tip of the day. So obviously your podcast is there, but tell folks a little bit about your podcast, what it does, and all that good stuff.
For sure. I started my podcast earlier this year, and it has been tons of fun. I've met some incredible people through it. I've had some really great guests. Kelly Newton-Gores from the Heal documentary was on there. Colleen Wacko, co-CEO of Mind Body Green. I just had Jason Campbell from Mind Valley. So just a lot of really fun, interesting people. And then I do some on my own as well, sharing my insights. But really my goal is, again, like you had mentioned before, I really want people to realize that they don't have to sacrifice their well-being to attain success. So it's kind of a mix of talking about ways to nourish yourself, nourish your mind, sometimes like some holistic things, health-related things, but then also talking to people who are extremely successful. How do they attain their success? How do they maintain their health? How are they doing it in a way that is actually uplifting for them? So that's something that I'm really excited about sharing. And I share my own insights as well as an integrative medicine fellow and my experiences in time practicing as a PA in a lot of different fields.
Oh, that's awesome. So, and we have a little bit more time here. I want to talk about, so recently you released an 8-week online course to, I'm just reading this directly, just anybody thinks I'm just like really good at memorizing things. I'm not. 8-week online course to optimize well-being and performance. And I know you and I talked offline. I told you how much I love meditation. I've shared it on constant shows. I share it with all of our guests. I think it's one of the most incredible things that people usually, I either get, yay, that's awesome, or people are like, wow, a Marine that does meditation and yoga. And I'm like, you're duty darn right. It set my mind right. So tell us a little bit about your 8-week course and where folks can find out information to sign up and be part of it. Because I think that's also key, because part of making change is taking the step to make these changes and get your mindset right. You could be in the dumps about 2020 and be like, oh, you can have your pity party, but if you're still having your pity party, time to stop. Take this 8-week course. In 8 weeks, if my math does right, that puts us near the middle of the holidays. And then you'll be happy again, because naturally, Christmas should make everybody happy.
The 8-week course, we actually picked 8 weeks for a reason. So there's some good research that shows that after 8-week mindfulness programs, the MBSR programs, there were positive changes in the brain. So I pulled that thinking, okay, I want to incorporate all of my knowledge, everything that I've learned, because, working with professionals working in integrative psychiatry. I'm also a Reiki master, integrative medicine fellow, and entrepreneur, and kind of package it all for something digestible for people where they had a real potential for transformation. So I did a video for each day, and they're short videos because I think most people are busy, and I want it to be digestible. So it's about a 3 to 7 minute video you watch in the morning. And so there are 56 of those with the goal of after the 8 weeks really having true transformation in your well-being and really moving towards your dreams. So I'm really excited about that. And you can access it at www.livegreatly.online. And then my other website that has all of my services, because I also do speaking and I work with businesses and corporations and do seminars and packages and courses. And that's www.livegreatly.co.
Awesome, look at that. And that happens to also be your Instagram, because you could follow you over at Instagram at livegreatly_co if you're out there. And you can see it, because while you've been talking, we actually got that right. We even have your name, Kristel, on there, and it has your, so. Just because the host gets names wrong doesn't mean that the production team doesn't. Give Jordan and Marina some credit there. They're pretty good on that. They always correct me, or the guest corrects me that I screw up their names. One of the two. But it's been great having you on, Kristel. Look at me stressing the names. Like, Kristel, hey, there we go. We're going to say it over and over again because the show's over and you're going to be gone. That makes sense that I finally get it right. But I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been great talking about mindset. Would love to have you back on soon. And talk about some different mindsets. I know one of the biggest things that's coming up and it's on a lot of people's minds is November 3rd. I guess there's an election taking place in America. We've been hearing about it for 4 years, so thank God it's going to finally happen again. But the mindset, I know a lot of people are kind of getting beat down just talking about it, causing a lot of stress. So we'd love to invite you back and get your thoughts on how people can keep a positive mindset during what I believe the next 40 days is going to be very, very stressful in America for all of us. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. That was a great segment with Kristel Bauer, our first guest today. Now, our second guest that we're going to be bringing to the show here, we're going to be talking about, success as a coach. There's lots of success coaches out there, and talking about how to have success in your sales and in your business, which is a hot topic, right? We've been talking about this a lot and how to overcome a lot of the struggles that business owners are having during COVID-19. One of the things we're going to be talking about is staying positive and keeping a positive mindset during COVID-19 and quarantine. So our guest today is the amazing Niyc Pidgeon. That's right, Niyc Pidgeon. And she is one of the leading global success coaches and positive psychologists. Niyc is obsessed with empowering women to create more joy and personal power. So this is outstanding for the women in your lives. And if you are a woman and you're watching this, Niyc is one of those people that you need to know. She's absolutely crushing it in business and helping powerful women everywhere become stronger. 2020 has really showed that, and we've seen that for the last several years as women are in the workplace crushing it and becoming leaders of industry. I'm married to an amazing CEO of leadership when it comes to it, the wonderful Lucy Mitchell. She crushes it every day when it comes to running our business, LifeLit Media, as well as 2 other companies that she's the head of. Talk about absolutely owning the space you're in. Niyc Pidgeon is one of those amazing women that's out there changing the world. And we need to do that when we live in an age where men still think they dominate the workplace. We've seen that in sports over and over again. Just recently, a radio anchor out of Chicago, Illinois, made reference to what a sideline reporter was wearing on the NFL, saying that she didn't look like an NFL reporter. Instead, that she looked like she was an announcer or a presenter at the AVN Awards. And if you're not familiar with that, we had to Google it ourselves. That is the Adult Video Awards. It's like the Oscars for porn, which I didn't know that they were known for acting in those movies, but apparently they are. So that's what we're dealing with when it comes to that. It's very interesting as we go across the world that people still disrespect women in the workplace, still disparaging in the pay, but great to see women taking leadership. And as you know, on this show, we pride ourselves. Our show itself has all women working on the show. Both of our executive producers and show creator, Madison Mitchell, that's right, a 16-year-old created this show. Damn right. That's how it's done around here. We work with all women. That is just the best way it's been. And we pride ourselves in having amazing women as our guests on our show constantly. If you look back at just the first few weeks of launch of this wonderful show here on Biz TV and C-Suite, look at a majority of our guests. That's right, women are rocking in the workplace and in the personal world, and you need to be following them. And today's guest is one of the most amazing guests out there. I've been following her on Instagram for a long time, so I'm excited to bring to our show today as a guest and give you guys some insight into this amazing individual, Niyc Pidgeon. So we're excited. So when we come back from the break, we're going to kick into this. So get your pens and paper ready, because this will be an episode. This will be a segment of all segments. We really can't wait to jump into this and talk about it. And while we go to break, while we head to commercial, go on and check out Niyc on social media. Go check out her Instagram, which is one of my favorites to follow, so you can follow Niyc on there. And she has some ties to a guest that you're very familiar with on our show, the wonderful Marine Corps door gunner and fitness guru and insider, Lisa Bodenberg. Usually those two are working out together on top of with the Staples Center. We won't judge if the Lakers play there. But anyways, you can always check them out. So when we come back from break, we will welcome our next guest of the show, the wonderful Niyc Pidgeon. The show, Niyc. Finally, great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm envious of your location because you're in LA. I think we both have smoky conditions still. Are you still have, the one thing the West Coast has in common is way too many wildfires, both in beautiful cities covered in smoke. Yours is a little different because you have the Staples Center out your window, which that just makes you sad because the pandemic has basically killed off that area. And of course, your basketball team is in the Western Conference Finals there. And that building usually would be rocking for the Western Conference Finals, the home of Kobe and LeBron. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I love what you do. I told folks before we brought you on how much I told them all to go follow your Instagram. So if you saw a spike in Instagram followers as we start here on this Monday, you can blame me. I told them, it's one of my favorite things to watch. Obviously, you have ties to one of our favorite human beings on our show, Lisa Bodenberg. Just gotta love Lisa, She's just like the Marine Corps door gunner who just climbs mountains.
She's amazing.
And she's always jumping in ice cold things. The woman is obsessed with being cold. I'm like, stop jumping in cold water. I get why you do it, but it's really...
We'll leave it to her.
She's crazy, jumping in a garbage can full of water and ice. Anyways, yeah. So you are a success coach, which is important in these days. What I love is that I'm a father of two beautiful daughters. So I love any badass entrepreneur that's out there focused on empowering women. That's a big mindset. My wife is the CEO of the company that started everything, LifeFlip Media. So I love talking to positive people. So one of your big things is talking about staying positive, keeping a positive mindset during this wonderful time called the pandemic of 2020, COVID-19 and quarantine. And then we add into the fact that smoke doesn't make it easy to leave our house. I know up here in the Pacific Northwest for the last 8 days, we've had air quality that makes the Middle East and Asia look healthy to breathe in. So how are you telling people to stay positive during this time, which probably isn't a time that you want to be positive?
Well, one of the things that I always suggest is really getting clear on which parts of your own experience are under your control and which parts aren't, because there's so much anxiety and worry and overwhelm that comes from trying to take it all on ourselves, when as soon as we step into really like looking at, okay, right, this part it's not good, doesn't feel nice, but it's nothing I can control right now, so I'm going to get back into my personal sense of peace and I'm going to focus on what I can do. And one of the things that we can always do is change the way that we think and feel. Now, I got asked once in an interview, Niyc, do you think it's possible to change your mindset and change the way that you feel in a month? And I was like, oh my goodness, it's possible to change your mindset and the way you feel in a moment, never mind a month. So it's really bringing ourselves back to the present and finding gratitude for even in the bad things, because the stuff that is sent to challenge us also changes us and helps us grow in positive ways. So I'm always looking for what those little blessings are in amongst all of this.
I love it. And by the way, I love your accent. I'm over here feeling like I'm like talking to Bono or somebody. It's amazing. Sorry, I'm just like, this is awesome. Sorry, I'm like an accent person. I talk to a lot of Australians. One of my business partners and executive producers of our show is an Australian. So I know you don't have an Australian accent, but it's an accent. And I'm like, it's just so much better.
Well, I lived in Australia for like 6 months. So I'm originally from England, but I lived in Amsterdam, Australia, South Africa, and now here in the States. So...
And so much of your original, English is kind of everywhere, right? Because the Australians are like, we have Australian accents. I'm like, yeah, but you're technically British because, and they don't like to be reminded of that. But we don't want to go there. I don't want to piss off Australians. Not my goal for the day. So actually, my next question for you is, what actually drove you to begin your journey to help women become, and I love this, unstoppable? I love that, what did that? And I know you have a book, so kind of tell us about both of that. What drove you to start this journey? Because it's an interesting subject, really timely to be a, very outspoken woman, especially in English, you guys are renowned for being outspoken. I mean, you brought us the Beatles, so you're welcome, right? We're like, the English brought us everything, including, well, they didn't bring us U2, that's the Irish, but besides that, you gave us the Stones and the Beatles, but in many other things. But what drove you to begin this journey?
I mean, I'm completely fascinated about what it is that commonly stops people. So we see time and time again, whether it's people think they haven't got enough time, or people think they haven't got enough money, or people are just scared. There's always going to be an obstacle. And when I was maybe 17, 18, I had a complete shift in my own mindset, because I was originally going to be a mechanical and automotive engineer. I wasn't signed up to do psychology. And I was told a story from my boyfriend at the time, who was a professional cricket player, who was seeing a sports psychologist that said to him, when you're on the field and you're into bat, don't stand there and look at the fielders, but look for the gaps in the fielders instead. So I was like, oh my goodness, we spend so much time focused on problem and things that are going wrong, rather than focusing on possibility and opportunity. So that really led me down the path of studying positive psychology, which is the science of how individuals, communities, and businesses can thrive, more commonly known as the science of happiness. So not only do I get to help people with this amazing discipline, but it's kind of like a really fun, inspiring personal journey for me too. So I wrote the book really to give a practical breakdown of what people can do in their daily lives. They can pick it up, they can read it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and use a tool which can help them feel better straight away.
I love it. Now, and this is why I tell people to follow you on social media, because you're so empowering and it's fun to just watch what you're doing. Yes, you're working out and make people probably be like, crap, I need to go work out. In fact, I've watched you guys work out and be like, I need to go work out. And I actually do. I mean, I'm pretty religious about that. But like I touched on earlier, as a father of 2 daughters, I'm always looking for good role models for my girls. I mean, one of them's in her early 20s, and my youngest is 16. She's actually the creator of this show, which is pretty impressive for a 16-year-old. But if you could speak to your younger self, what would one of those lessons be that you would tell younger Nick, like, this is where my journey's taking us? I mean, what would be some advice that you would give to yourself?
I would tell my younger self to trust myself more. So trust my own intuition more, and also trust the process more. I think when you're younger, there's a lot of impatience around success or goals, or I've got to do what everyone else is doing and I've got to do that thing now. I wish that I'd just known when I was younger, Nick, it's all going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. Just believe in yourself that little bit more and trust in your own intuition. That would be my advice.
I love it. So let's talk about one topic that I'm really hot on right now, and it's this overwork belief, right? Everybody has the belief that success means you have to work around the clock, and everybody wants to compare themselves to somebody else. And actually, it's funny, so many people compare themselves to the wonderful Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary, and everybody's like, well, Gary says I need to hustle, and I'm like, well, yeah, but Gary also tells you to be the authentic you. Don't be him. I mean, going on stage wearing a V-neck and jeans and, his, shoe line, That's Gary's thing, dropping F-bombs on stage. That's not your thing, nor do you need to work 24 hours a day to prove that you're doing it, or posting that you're working hard on the weekend. I see that so often. People are like, I work around the clock. And I'm like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. When you're an entrepreneur, you're never really off. So how do you encourage folks to make sure that they keep time to work out, to spend time with their loved ones? I know you and I, we go back and forth on the weekends all the time, and one of us is at some place, usually you're someplace I'm envious of, like in Palm Desert or Palm Springs, but you take a lot of time for yourself, which is important to unwind. How do you encourage and kind of point people to, yes, it's important to work, but it's also time to give your body and your mind that downtime?
Yes. So I believe in doing both. Like, I believe that you can have it all. And one of the things that is going to be your best friend is creating bigger boundaries around your time commitments for both of the things. So where we get into overwhelm, or where we get into conflict with ourselves, is when there's like a blurred line and you feel guilty around, oh, I should be working, but I'm actually having the day off. Or I should be spending time with my family, but I'm actually in the office. Yeah. So the more that you can get committed to, right, this is the 4 hours, I'm creating a solid box around doing this particular type of work during this time, and I'm going to switch on, and then I'm going to fully switch off. I also believe that things like working out are actually also business activities. I know that I'm a better human. You probably don't want to have a conversation with me before I've done that workout. But I know that it all feeds each other. I know that when I enjoy my off time and downtime, I'm going to show it better for my business and my clients. So they do go hand in hand.
Oh, awesome. That is so perfect, because I agree with you. There's two things that you don't want to talk to me before I've done, is work out and have coffee. That's like, and you need it in that order, because I have a lot of early morning meetings, but and I'm a big Pelotoner, hopping on my Peloton and kind of just disappearing in music. Music is my everything, and it kind of goes with the workout and sets the day. And then give me coffee. Please don't talk to me before at least one cup's in, because if you come at me with way too much, I'm just like, I don't want to hear it. So yeah, it is crazy to think about. When we come back from the break, I just have one last thing that I want to run by you. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 3 best ways to shift your mindset during a time that it just seems like everything is against us, which we could just call 2020. 2020 to me seems to be everything and every challenge we have, from fires to COVID. Obviously here in the States, one of the biggest things we're dealing with is this election that just seems to be, it's destroying people on social media. I've never watched so many people just go at each other for no reason. And it's like, man, you're friends. Like, who talks to you would never talk to your friend in person this way. Why would you talk to him on social? So when we come back from the break, we're going to finish our conversation with the wonderful Niyc Pidgeon. Pidgeon. So Niyc, before you go, I want to talk about and just get your tips real fast. What are the 3 best ways that you could shift your mindset here in 2020 when you think everything's impossible and there's no positivity in sight? What are some three tips? We'll go 3. If you go over 3, that's fine. But what are 3 tips that you're telling folks to stay positive and overcome when they think it can't be done?
Okay, so number 1, write a gratitude list. So this is a proven positive psychology intervention that is known to shift the way that you feel. So write a list of all of the things that you're grateful for, big or small. We're going to celebrate them all. So we're looking at, it could be health, it could be your family, it could literally be anything. That's going to be number 1. Number 2, I want you to create yourself a morning practice. So a little morning ritual, even though it doesn't have to be long, it can just be 10 minutes. And I want you to put in there meditation and also moving your body. So when you move your body, you move your mood. And you can guarantee that when you get present in meditation, when you move your body with the movement, your mind is going to let go of all of those negative, distracting, detracting thoughts. And then the third thing is, I want you to actually try, this is a really, really powerful intervention that people actually aren't often aware of. The practice of forgiveness. which is actually releasing yourself of any toxic thoughts. Now, the positive psychology intervention for this is to write a forgiveness letter. Now, you can write this to someone else, but my invitation for you is to actually write this to yourself and see what things, what thoughts, what ideas, where you're beating yourself up, where you can actually choose to take back your power by writing out this letter. Take 20 minutes, forgiveness letter. So gratitude, first of all, morning ritual, and that forgiveness letter.
Woohoo, I love it. And before you go, how can everybody get a hold of you? Obviously, I told them how to follow you on social, but how can folks follow you and start working with you? Because obviously you're an incredible, just an incredible human being doing incredible things. So how can folks connect with you? What's the best way? What's coming up? Do you have anything awesome? I know you do courses online all the time, and the responses are amazing, fun to watch. So how can folks learn more to work with you?
So I love hanging out on Instagram. So I'm on every single social platform at Niyc Pidgeon. Instagram's my favorite. So I love chatting with you, voice noting, DMing with you there. And that's at Niyc Pidge. There's also all of the info about our business courses, and my positive psychology book now is your chance on my website as well, which is niycpidgeon.com.
Outstanding. Well, Niyc, I want to thank you for coming on our show today. You've definitely kicked off our week in the right way. It's the perfect way to go into the rest of the work week with just your inspiration. And go check Niyc out on Instagram. I'm telling everybody that's the place to be. And it's true. I love, out of all the social platforms, before you go, Instagram's my favorite. Just like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of pictures. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I think it's because there's no really negativity on there. Like, nobody's posting politics and downsy, like sad stuff. It's always like uplifting. So anyways, yeah. That's why I watch it. Just watching everybody do positive. It's good to see positivity in the world. So Niyc, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on real soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to thank both our guests for joining us today on this beautiful, beautiful Monday. Hopefully your Monday is off to, and your week is off to a great start. Only like a few days left in this month. It's just crazy, right? We're almost at the end of September. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I do want to thank our amazing guests today, the wonderful Kristel Bauer and the obviously just finished with Niyc Pidgeon. Just two amazing folks. Make sure you're following them both on social media. And if you want to learn more about both of them, go ahead and check it out. And if you're watching this on YouTube or C-Suite Network, just scroll down and you'll see the link to both of them, so you can just connect with them right there. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's we're ready for an incredible week. We have some incredible guests coming your way. So just always enjoy that. And remember, if you would like to be a guest on our show, feel free to always reach out to us. We're always quick to let you know that you can reach us on our email, hello@tothepointtv.com. Part of the mindset as we build this show out and continue to grow is not just functioning on sports, which we had an amazing week in week 2 in the NFL, and the NBA championships in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference are just killing it. It's been exciting, and we had, it's funny, we were just talking to somebody in LA. The Dodgers were the first team to clinch a playoff berth, and now we only have, I believe this is the final week of Major League Baseball before we head into the postseason. The NBA Finals will be here in 9 days. 9 days, the NBA Finals start on September 30th. So we have a lot coming up.